Well, today we're going to work on the Yamaha Raider here. We're going to work on cleaning up this tail a bit, getting rid of all this stuff sticking down, changing this out to a Blaster X integrated tail light, and then moving the license plate to a side mount. So over here we've got the Blaster X tail light. Should be plug and play. And then the side mount license plate. So you don't need all these tools, but this is what I use just throughout the whole thing. Had them, why not use them? Sharpie to market, a couple different screwdrivers. Got my pliers here that really only helped with the wiring aspect of things. Got a couple picks, little mini pry bar that I use to depress some clips, my snips, a couple different ratchets, extension, 10 mil wrench. If you have a ratcheting wrench, that would be the way to go. Those bolts up on the side are terrible. A couple 10 mils, the 8 mil Allen for the license plate. That's what I use to cut. Some more stuff for wiring, and then of course a light. Like I said, you don't need all these tools. You know, you can probably get it done with just a couple of these. This is my first time taking off this tail light, so bear with me as I figure this out. So with the Blaster X tail light install, we are going to be getting rid of this plastic. So they say to trace where the plastic meets the chrome bezel, and that's where you're going to end up cutting this off. I suppose you could also mark that line once the tail assembly here is taken off. So let's work on getting that off. I believe it's just a couple bolts under the fender, and you can get to them with the bike on the ground. So looking here, you can see a couple bolts up here. You got, it looks like 2 on each side. So I'll work on getting those out. You can see here you don't really have too much room to work, but should be enough to get a wrench in there and get these couple bolts out. So these are the 2 bolts and sleeves that hold the side on. These are the 2 nuts and sleeves that held it to the top. See that now that those are out, she's kind of came down. There you can see the sides where it's held on, and then the top there. So from there, all that's really keeping it up there is the wiring harness. From there, it looks like you have 2 screws, screw here and here. Now, the whole tail assembly is out. So now we'll get to removing the tail light and chopping off all the excess that we don't need. Getting the tail light off the assembly is pretty simple. Just 3 screws on the back. So now from here, you have these wires that go to your turn signals and your license plate light here. I'm going to go ahead and pull those through. We're not going to need those anymore. And then from here, you can see the line that was drawn, and that's where we're going to cut to get rid of any excess material. So you can cut this with, you know, whatever you have available. Realistically, a Dremel would probably be the best and most accurate. I am going to use my rotary tool because that's what I got. The rotary tool actually did a much better job than I expected. Now I'll just clean this edge up a little bit, get the new taillight mounted, and we'll start working on getting it installed. After you clean that cut up, it's a good time to go ahead and clean this up. So we'll clean this up, and then we'll mount the new tail light on. It's also a good time to go ahead and clean up the bezel here. I think soon I'm going to take this off and either repaint it or vinyl wrap it black, but for the time being I'll just leave it. And we'll go ahead and get it installed back onto the tail light with the 2 screws and push pins. Alright, so I went ahead and used a razor blade and cleaned that bottom edge up. If you do that, be extremely careful. Now it's time to get it on the bike. Good thing it has all the same factory connectors. Only one that we won't use is the one for the license plate light. Let's get that connected. Once you got those wires connected again, let's go ahead and test it out and see if it is working. Brake light is on. Left turn signal. Now with that hyper flash, they do make a relay that you can put in place to help solve that. Some people do the relay and some people don't. I didn't get it. If it starts to bug me, then I'll probably go ahead and grab that and get that installed as well. On the wires, I have got the brown wire going to the lighter color connector and the green wire going to the darker. And yes, initially I had it the other way around and I had to switch them, but that is the way that I've got those connected. Time to get wires back through here and get this mounted back up. And there you have the Blaster X taillight all installed. Looks so much better. So now the next step is mounting up our Performance Edge side mount license plate mount, which is pretty simple for the most part. We're just going to remove these 2 bolts right under the passenger pegs. And this will bolt up right in that spot. Comes with wiring we'll run up under the seat here, and we'll have to find a source of power that comes on when we turn the bike on. I did go ahead and take the license plate frame off. They're all 10mm bolts. That way we can get this mounted up without the wires and everything in the way. Take these 2 bolts off. You'll need a 8mm Allen socket or Allen wrench, whatever you got. Alright, next, this is just going to mount up right where we took those 2 bolts off. Nice and simple. And there you have it. The plate is mounted up. Now we'll throw the license plate and the frame back on here, and then we'll figure out the wiring. Also, I got myself. All right, got it all on there. Now to work on the wiring. All right, so for the license plate light, we got it working. Pass my wire up through here, pull it up through the bottom there, making sure you're not in the way of the belt or anything like that. I can probably cut this down some, honestly. Got it grounded, and then I tapped in to the original license plate light wire there. And she's good. Now I'll tape her up, clean it up, get everything tucked away, and she will be done.